live to Bahrain, where we are joined by Abdullah Al-Junaid, a Bahraini columnist and geopolitical analyst. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
So the quickly called Arab Islamic Summit taking place all day in Riyadh with many leaders from many different countries in the Muslim world, including the presidents of Iran and Turkey, and Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi calling for actions, not words. What kind of actions are on the table at this point?
At the present time, mainly galvanizing a unified stand, and at the same time, bringing the Islamic world and the Arab world together is to avoid, just having the Arabs addressing the Gaza crisis from the prospect of the Arabs, and then the rest of the Islamic world going to go and say, we were not invited, we be excluded. So we want to start with a galvanized position, mainly for the cessation of fire, definitely, and to elevate the humanitarian suffering on the Palestinian part. And hopefully we find the whole region back on the peace track.
With Saudi Arabia recently ending the 7-year rift with Iran and still many unresolved issues between the two countries as well, and the difference of opinions between participants within the summit, Turkey, Qatar, Syria. With that in mind, should we expect these countries to come to an agreement in a joint course of action? Is it possible?
Well, put it this way, there was a lot of spoilers from day one. But as I said, we need to stay focused, and this is why this summit is there. It's not about the inter-regional relation, Turkey or Iran or anybody else. We have a crisis, and we need to address this crisis accordingly. And this is the main focus. If Iran and Turkey or somebody else want a side show, let them do it on their own.
All right. We also know there are ongoing attempts by the U.S., of course, to normalize ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia, yet at the same time we see a resumption of ties with Iran and the public support of the Palestinians. What is the Saudi agenda at this point in time, in your opinion?
Put it this way, let us, call things by their proper name. First of all, restabilizing the whole region is a collective responsibility of the whole countries of this region. And for quite a long time, everybody was accusing this region or this part of the region of being totally, severing all diplomatic pushes or encouragement to establish a direct talks or diplomatic channels with Iran directly or with Turkey after the rift that took place. But we are re-engaging for one thing. First of all, to make sure that we are delivering our position and messages to those concerned party directly and not through a third party. Two, if they are serious about regional restabilization, they better express that in deeds and not just in words.
Also, the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman did call on Hamas to release all the hostages, but he also had very strong words toward Israel. Let's take a listen.
توفير ممرات إنسانية لإغاثة المدنيين وتمكين المنظمات الدولية الإنسانية.
We are calling to unblock the siege by admitting humanitarian assistance and relief and providing the essential medicines to the sick people and the wounded in Gaza. Your Excellencies, the Kingdom assures its absolute rejection of the continuation of the Israeli aggression, the occupation and the forcible displacement of the residents of Gaza, and it confirms it is holding the occupation authorities, Israel of course, accountable for their crimes against the Palestinian people, and we are sure that the only way to provide security, peace and stability in the region is to end the occupation.
All right, you heard it there. I mean, this is a very strong stance to take. Does this, ruin isn't the right word, but how is this going to affect the chances of this normalization deal that the U.S., Israel, and Saudi Arabia has been talking about for a long time and trying to push forward?
I think the Crown Prince was echoing voices calling for the same, not just from around the world, but even from inside Israel. So I think the consensus at the present time is stopping the bloodshed and making sure that we stop. We can only save the living. The dead Unfortunately, nobody could do something about. But reining in Hamas is something that needs to be done, fair enough, but not at a cost where it's going to be definitely hindering any future resumption of or putting all parties on the right track towards peaceful settlement.
I understand. Also, given the big difference between these countries that are at this summit, even with them all meeting, like overall, again, talking for action, not words, when you're seeing differences and similarities, is there a chance of finding or an action that could lead to a positive outcome? Like, listen, we have accords with Bahrain, we have accords with Morocco. I mean, this is in the big picture, this is affecting, right, and Israel is not part of this summit as well, so we're not invited.
Put it this way, there are a lot of channels at the present time, directly and indirectly, and this has been going on for quite some time. So rest assured, you and your viewers, that everybody is contributing to the maximum possible, including Saudi Arabia, in resolving this crisis. What we need is to address it from the regional perspective, regional cooperation. What needs to be done. Gaza can't be just an Israeli problem. It needs to be a collective regional problem. We need to approach it from that perspective. If we collectively, again, and I'm saying that Israel being part of this region, it has to start rethinking the approaches, including calling on regional partners and international partners to, sounding what could be done.
Right.
And we hope this happens soon.
Right. So what's your message to Egypt? Not taking
Listen, no way. I mean, if you ask me, it's not the Egyptian or anybody else, but definitely accepting, forcing the Gazan to move from their own land into a disaster sort of situation. You will not accept that to be forced down on Israelis, and we shouldn't expect you as well, not the Egyptian, to accept this sort of treatment on the Palestinian. If we're going to forge something new that is serving the hopes and aspiration of all people of this region, then we need to start addressing not just technicalities, but what certain policies mean.
Right. Also, let's address the fact of, again, what we're seeing going around the world, right? The social media, what's happening around the world. How can this, is it making it worse for a collective?
I would like to hear from your guests in the studio.
Yes.
Could you bring them in?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for that invitation. Let's bring Dr. David Shimoni back in.
Sure.
He's making some very interesting points. Like, what do you have to say?
I say, first of all, hi, Abdullah, and thank you for your insights. I understand a lot of things that you say. I agree with many things that you say. I think we know that the process between Israel and Saudi Arabia has been interrupted now because of the war. There was a good effort to try to make a long-term agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia, as we have with many other Arab countries. I think we have to differentiate between the immediate days and the near future. Regarding the near future, I agree with you. We cannot settle the Middle East without addressing the Palestinian issue in an agreed way. But the immediate threat now is still Hamas. Unlike Saudi Arabia, unlike Egypt, Jordan, many other Arab entities who recognize Israel and recognize Israel's right to exist, Hamas declares it wants to destroy Israel. Many ignorant people all over the world now are chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. They don't know exactly what's going on. They don't know the territory. But Israel has been attacked brutally by Hamas, and I think we will not be able to go further to negotiations before the immediate threat of Hamas is removed. And unfortunately, it looks as the only way to remove the threat of Hamas in the near future, in the next week or two, is a military way. Other than that, and after that, yes, we must address the Palestinian issue, their aspirations for liberty, just as we want our liberty. These should be addressed, and hopefully establish a good relationship with Saudi Arabia, maybe even better and warmer than what we have with old peace agreements like Egypt and Jordan that are fantastic, holding on for many, many years, but they're not very, very, very amicable.
All right, so Abdullah, you heard what he had to say. Any comments?
Well, put it this way, I agree with him totally in terms of those idiots who are calling from the river to the sea from both sides, not just the Palestinian or what those chants are. I'm sure he have heard the same from the settler far right movements. That is totally unacceptable, and it is hindering any aspect, because I'll tell you this, at the end of the day and the day after, which Israel are we going to deal with? Is it the model that was presented through this coalition, or is it the secular Israel that we went into the Abrahamic Accords with? Now, that lies within the Israeli responsibility. I reiterate, what took place was a crime, and it's need to make those who committed those crimes accountable. But at the same time, we can't go with a total, total disregard to the accumulating number of Palestinian being killed. Last point, we can only save the living. You can't prosecute whom you think are terrorists, and I agree with you, because we have recognized that organization as a terrorist back in 2014. Where was Israel and the United States? When we called for the Houthis to be labeled or categorized as a terrorist organization, who left them from the list of that organization, terrorist designation? It is the American. Now, we collectively need to get together and find out exactly what does the day after represent to all of us. If we fail to do so, we're going to be reliving this day sometime soon.
Right, wow. Wow, thank you. Abdullah, thank you very much for those thoughts. And I want one final thought from the doctor here to respond. He makes some very good points. I think we're all on the same page. We want a Middle East where we don't have to live in fear of being killed.
I think Abdullah rightfully explained that we have undermining processes from inside, in our side, the Israeli side, the Palestinian side, the Arab side, and from outside, external pressures to maintain hostilities, like Iran orchestrating. He mentioned the Houthis being under the influence of Iran and trying to maintain hostilities in the Middle East. Yes, the sane people, most people, the majority of people on both sides should try to ignore these extremists and continue with the process.
Thank you
Sure.
very much. And please stay with I-24. We'll be back with more developments at the top of the hour. I'm Emily Francis. Thanks for tuning in.